Okay, now let's start. Okay. Now, welcome to the fifth session of our Black Sea and the Balkans Congress. This session will talk about the policies of regional countries and their role in providing security in these regions. We will start with Mandala because she's in Iran and she has some connection problems. So she requested from us to connect early. So Mandala, are you available? Are you able to present your paper? I can
yes,
see you. We can hear you. We can hear you. So the floor is yours.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's both an honor and a pleasure for me to participate in this high esteemed conference, and I would like to appreciate the initiative of RL University to gather us here to discuss about the Black Sea from different aspects. And I apologize other colleagues to present earlier because the internet is very unstable nowadays in Iran. So I briefly would like to share with you my idea in this paper, which is about the importance of Black Sea to connect Asia and Europe to each other. All of us passed different experiences in changing the international system in recent decades. We all remember the bipolar world. After that, we faced the unipolar world in 1990s. Gradually, we faced a new world order based on multipolarism. And in recent years, some scholars say that a multipolar world is going to be appear, and the others believe that we are going to enter a post-polar world. In this post-polar world, actually, countries, middle powers and regional countries can play more important role. Interestingly, they can shape new networks, they can run new initiatives to make more connections. The most important matter is to define a common economic and national interests between different countries in a region. I do believe that if we look at to the map of our region in general, we can see that in the north part of the Black Sea, we face the war between Ukraine and Russia. In the Mediterranean Sea, at least since October 7, we faced the crisis between Israelis and Palestinians and other countries in the region like Lebanese, Syrians and others. This crisis entered into other regions nowadays. The Red Sea is very unstable. So this is why that we should think to find new ways, new corridors, new initiatives to improve regional connectivity and collaboration between different countries in our region. Again, if we look at the map of the Black Sea, we can see that the south part of the Black Sea, along the Turkish coastline, is very stable, very safe, and we have different important ports in this part. One of them is Trabzon. Trabzon is the nearest port to Iranian cities in the north part of Iran to connect them to the open seas. The most important city in the northwest of Iran, which is the hub of industry and commercial activities, is Tabriz, the historical city of Tabriz. The connecting Tabriz and Trabzon, defining the corridor of Tabriz-Trabzon corridor, is very easy. Already many infrastructures are available in this part. Especially the distance between Trabzon port to Iranian border, Bazargan point, is about 580 kilometers. Compared to other corridors, it's nothing. If we could connect Tabriz to Trabzon, then other countries also will benefit, especially the Republic of Azerbaijan and Armenia can easily have access to the Black Sea, not only via Georgia, but also via Iran and Turkey. The Central Asian countries, Afghanistan and Pakistan also find a new access to the Black Sea and via Black Sea to the European countries. From another aspect, as already Tabriz is connected to Iranian ports in the Persian Gulf region, especially to Bandar Abbas, so we can see that Tabriz-Trabzon corridor can connect the Black Sea to the Persian Gulf and other countries in the south part of Persian Gulf, in South Asia like India, in East Asia like China. They can use this corridor and increase the connectivity projects in our region. You know, this is not the first time that Iran and Turkey played such a kind of role. Even if we look at the ancient time, we have the royal highway, or as we call it in Persian, Shahanshahi or Shahi highway, that connected Susa in the south of Iran to Izmir in the west part of Turkey, to connect the Persian Gulf and the Mediterranean Sea to each other. Even during Iran-Iraq war, Trabzon played a very key role to give access to Iran to the European markets. So it seems that strategists and economists in Turkey and in Iran thought about the potentiality of Trabzon port to use it to develop relations between the two countries. So my clear suggestion is to form a joint group of academicians from Iran, Turkey, and other regional countries to think and discuss about the feasibility of running this program, this corridor, and design a roadmap to implement it as a new initiative in our region. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Do I have questions to Mandana?
Yeah, not a question, just a comment. Dear Mandana, welcome. I'm happy to see you attending, dear Mandana. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your gift also to us.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Ibrahim attended the conference. We are happy about the attendance and this good presentation. I captured your recommendation or the suggested proposal to establish a joint group. We'll work on the issue and I will contact with you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Oktay.
Yeah.
I have comment about her presentation.
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation, Professor Manda Tishiawa. Actually, I'm from Trabzon. I'm also doing research on this connection. In the second half of the 19th century, there was a very strong trade relation between the Trabzon and Tabriz. Actually, those products to travel to Iran coming from the West, especially from Britain and the United States, they are coming to Trabzon, then the caravans carrying those stuff to Tabriz. Sometimes caravan is over the 1,000 camels and so on. So there is very huge trade happening. But that trade is ended because of the Russian Tsarist Empire opened another way from the Batumi to Baku as a railway. And also they decreased the custom taxes, and that way the trade is moved to the other side. So this the idea is good, but need to develop some transportation system which connecting. For example, recently Turkey, Georgia, and Azerbaijan did the Erzurum, Tbilisi, and the Baku railway. Similar kind of railway need to build from the Trabzon to Tabriz, connect them that way to increase the trade relation. Definitely.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, the highway infrastructures are available. The railway infrastructure is available from Tabriz to Van, but we should completely connect it to the internal railway system in Turkey to connect to Trabzon. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Önder has a question for you, Mandana. Önder Canveren.
Dr. Mandana, could you please elaborate what is going on between Iran and Azerbaijan, and what kind of impact this interaction may have on this Tabriz-Trabzon connection? Thank you.
You're welcome. You know, actually, it was just a few days ago that we lost our president when he traveled to visit the president of the Republic of Azerbaijan. The last international meeting of his life was visiting President Aliyev. Actually, it was a good sign to show that Iran and Azerbaijan started a new duration of relations between themselves. And I hope that the new government in Iran continue this policy to make, as I heard, the Republic of Azerbaijan is going to open its embassy in Tehran again. So I think the future will be better than before.
May I have some comment on that?
Yes, please.
Hello. Before starting, I forward my condolences because of your bitter loss at the previous 2 weeks. Then very many thanks for the Iranian support to our Congress and for your very kind gifts that you have sent to us. Many thanks. Thank you very much indeed. What I would like to stress that you have already stressed, the geopolitics in the traditional term takes the issue as a matter of area. But when we look at the Black Sea region, Black Sea is a poor area which is landlocked. When we extract Turkish Straits, it's totally a landlocked area with peripheral states. So a new understanding, as you have pointed out, the postmodern approach reading of geopolitics requires us the straits, the corridors, which this issue already noted by the other presenter also, which I pray much to this idea. And this Tabriz-Trabzon corridor is not only good for Iran and Turkey, but also it has unprecedented benefits for the Black Sea region too, which I would like to stress is that. My question. China proposed a project, BRI, from the Central Asia to Europe, and for some part, it realized that for centuries and centuries, together Iran and Turkey stay next to each other, we couldn't revive Tabriz and Trabzon corridor. Do you have any idea about it? Why we couldn't have managed it up to now?
You know, first of all, it's very nice to hear your voice, Professor Bilgin. I wish I was there in Istanbul to meet all of you. Actually, as I said, it's not the first time that we are going to use the Trabzon port as a center to connect Iran to and other countries to Europe. During Iran-Iraq war in 1980s, Trabzon played the same role. I discussed with some of our ambassadors in Turkey, in Azerbaijan and Georgia, and they told me very interesting facts regarding the role that Trabzon played in 1980s. I think now we can use the potentiality of China to encourage Chinese decision makers to invest in this project, support this project, because it connects the east-west part of the Belt and Road Initiative, and it must be interesting for them too.
Okay, thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Okay.
Thanks. Many thanks.
Do we have Mr. Victor Korondovic online right now? Yes. Okay, yes.
Yes, I
Okay.
am.
We hear you and you can hear us. We can continue with your presentation. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I and my colleague, First Lieutenant Dr. Viktor Derevyanko, would like to thank the organizer for inviting us to the Congress. It's really honor for us to participate in this Congress. The title of our presentation is Russo-Ukrainian War, Solidarity and Unity of the State in the Black Sea. In our presentation, we will pay attention on national cohesion and how it facilitates international solidarity and support to Ukraine. The Russo-Ukrainian War actually began 10 years ago with annexation of Crimea and the occupation of Donbas. At that time, it was called as a hybrid war. For Ukraine, Ukraine was forced to fight for survival. The unique nature of the aggressor and member of Security Council contributed to the fact that it was not punished by the UN Security Council. And unpunished crime leads to another crime. Russia's unprovoked full-scale aggression against Ukraine in February 2022 significantly changed the world order. The unity of Ukraine's society and determination of the defense forces did not allow the aggressor to destroy Ukraine. This resilience was greatly supported by extensive solidarity and as well as material and military assistance by EU, NATO, G7 and other partner nations. We would like to take this opportunity to express our gratitude to Turkey for the solidarity and assistance provided to Ukraine since the beginning of the aggression, as well as for its strict adherence to the Montreal Agreement. It was mentioned 2 times or more, even more, yesterday. Today is the 828th date of the war. In the context of Congress, it is advisable to address 3 critical questions. Is the aggressor ready to end the war? Are Ukrainians ready to continue their resistance, and how long can Ukraine withstand the aggression? And third one, how can peace be achieved? What support is necessary to stop the aggressor? Let's try to answer these questions. First, Putin initially declares the war's goal to be the demilitarization and denationalization of Ukraine. These goals has been adjusted numerous times, and today it is increasingly recognized that the true goal is the destruction of Ukraine as a state. His ambition extends to the Baltic state, Poland, Central Asia, and Black Sea. Russia has officially defined the list, so-called list of unfriendly states. Currently, aggressor is waging 2 wars. The first one is a large-scale classical war in Ukraine, and the second one is a hybrid war against entire democratic world using various means: political, economic, psychological, cyber, blackmail, and even environmental. Unfortunately, the world did not fully recognize the threat and overlooked the resurgence of aggressive nationalism, which became evident in February 2022. If Putin is not stopped, this wars could be escalated in the World War III, which is an increasingly likely scenario. Only Putin can stop this war. If Ukraine stops to fight, there will be no Ukraine. The only way to overcome aggressor is to join efforts with partner nations and mobilize potential to strengthen resilience. Secondly, Ukraine must continue to fight, and to do so effectively, it must maintain social unity. War always transforms society. The main trends and driver of social cohesion include a strong identification as a citizen of Ukraine, trust in states, institutions, and a collective focus on action towards the common good. To demonstrate the Ukraine social cohesion, we present some indicators. These days, 89% of Ukrainians believe in victory. You see how it increased during this year. Yes, 96% of Ukrainians trust in the armed forces. It is much higher than the trust in the church. And 62% of Ukraine are ready to go to fight for their country. Studies of Ukrainian national identity show that it grows in times when the state faced great challenges. During the Orange Revolution in 2004, Revolution of Dignity in 2014, and the National Social Consolidation in 2024. The war requires huge resources. At the same time, economic situation in Ukraine is beginning to stabilize. Here there are just a few indicators. The financial situation during the war remained under control. The gap between the official and cash exchange rates remains minimal. Deposit volume grew in March. GDP growth forecast for 2024 is about 3%. Inflation in April was 3.2%. The steel production is gradually increasing, and at this slide you can see how the war effect on industry dropped in February 2022 and gradually small increase. Grain export by sea reach pre-war level these days. You see how important, how important this business for us. Ukraine has lost 5.5 million able-bodied citizens, actually over 30% of our able-bodied citizens. The state is providing money for housing assistance of 2.3 million internally displaced persons. But this does not stop our fight in the victory, and Ukraine is doing everything to bring it closer. The Defense Forces land operation in summer 2023 did not achieve the same level of success as it was in 2022. However, at sea, Ukraine achieved significant victory by destroying a third part of the Russian Black Sea Fleet warship. It forced the fleet to retreat from the western part of the sea. This success has facilitated a considerable resumption of the shipping in the Odessa-Bosporus direction. Despite this progress, Ukraine continues to face numerous challenges related to the ongoing war. One pressing issue is mobilization. The government is actively working to attract the necessary quantity and quality of personnel to the defense forces, while also ensuring the preservation of younger generation. To conclude the topic of resilience and unity of society, it should be emphasized that while Ukraine is suffering from the war, the national and solidarity within its society persist in their capacity to preserve against aggression. The cohesion among its people instills assurance among allies, while support from these allies raise the belief of nation in the victory and fortify its will to fight. Regarding the third question on how to address the aggressor, it is evident that deterrence policy is insufficient to stop him. No deterrence policy our day is effective. The only way is to win politically, economically, informationally, and militarily. Acknowledging Russian military capability and its disregard international laws, it is necessary to recognize that Russian ambition extend beyond Ukraine. This ambition is multiplied through different means and intimidation by the use of nuclear weapon. Actually, the nuclear intimidation is the main Russian weapon in its fight against West. The EU, NATO nation, and other allied partners have demonstrated their commitment to support Ukraine. However, the war is going on, and it is evident that sustained assistance will be imperative in the future. International solidarity in support of Ukraine is crucial for fostering peace in the Black Sea. Overcoming of nuclear intimidation by the aggressor is essential. The forthcoming peace conference in Switzerland in June presents a pivotal opportunity for the international community to align a strategy to stop the war in Ukraine. It is crucial to recognize Russia's roles as the aggressor and to advocate for just a peace that aligns with Ukraine's interest. Past experience shows that trust in Russia is a fragile thing. Relying on ceasefires and peace talk alone is not enough, and it may encourage the aggressor to continue its destructive intention. While sanction remains the means of pressure on the aggressor, it is notable that Russia has demonstrated a badness in circumvention of the measure. In March, April of this year, Russian oil export revenue reached the level 770 billion euro. By scanning this QR code, you can see how the aggression enriches and strengthens its economic position. We have proof from our own experience that Ukraine defense forces are capable to fight and defeat the aggressor at sea, in air, and on the land. The unity of Ukraine's society and military assistance from the partner nation are key elements in ensuring international solidarity and unity in support of Ukraine's victory and restoring the security in Black Sea. It is impossible to defeat the aggressor without military assistance. Security environment is changing very fast and requires appropriate reaction. Speed of adaptiveness to these requirements is the crucial one today. And as this, I would like to thank you for your attention and stop my presentation. Thank you for your attention. We are ready to take your questions.
Do we have questions?
Yes. Yes.
Octavio asked.
Yes. Thank you very much for this impressive briefing. That is really impressive briefing. Actually, as the organizer of this conference, our intention is that we will publish the record of your speech and through the YouTube to reach to the more audience, for the solidarity. I understand. We understand your point. You need the international and the regional solidarity. That is the important. So your briefing is very clear. No question, actually. I don't have any question. I'd like to make just a comment. My understanding, maybe the same thing, but from the different perspective. For any war, as far as I am interested, for any war, any conflict to end, to terminate, there are actually three ways. One is the victory of the one party and the complete defeat of the another party, aggressors or the belligerents. That is the one way of ending the war. Another one may be through the powerful third party dictate the peace, saying that, okay, I'm dictating the peace. There is a cost for continuing the war. That will be the second way. And the third one, you mentioned, I think, this is my understanding. Third way, third option is the mutual hurting stalemate. And a stalemate, a tie. But that is the hurting one, to the both parties. And both parties is perceiving that we cannot sustain this war. We cannot continue that war. So for this, resilience of the parties is important. If the Ukraine side is more resilient than the Russian side, at the end, Ukraine, it will be the Ukraine victory. Ukraine will win. So that resilience, I think, is important. For the weak in the Russian side, and more sanction maybe is required from the United States, especially from the European Union and the regional actor, as shown by Turkey, for example. Because Turkey buys the natural gas or the fuel fossils of Russia. That is the money, revenue, and the arms, and the capacity for being resilient. So I understand that point. That is the reason I am saying that we have to show our solidarity. So these are from my side, and maybe not to add something to your good briefing, that's my perspective. Thank you very much again for your briefing.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, do we have other questions? Okay, Leonid will ask you a question.
Добрий день.
Добрий день.
Thank you very much, Dr. Korendovich, for a solid presentation. I would say optimistic one, which is comforting. In any case, we are conscious in Ukraine that being too much dependent on the volumes and desires of our supporting partners may prolong the war, which will increase our losses in spite of all our efforts of resilience. What do you see the ways to mitigate the dependence on our partners and increase reliance on our own potential in order to force the aggressor out of our land, if any?
Thank you, Mr. Polakov. As my former boss, you always raise truly questions and hard questions. It's difficult to give honest question on your answer on your questions, but it's clear for us that we have to continue to work. Otherwise, there is huge difference in our potential. Actually, have to deal with such in such environment to fight with Russia. Actually, we have to overcome, but it's impossible to overcome on our own. We have to rely on our partner. It's true. But at the same time, we have to raise our internal capability and capacity as much as possible. In this case, we create additional trust in our partners to be able to support us. Otherwise, nobody would like to have weak partners. So we have to do as much as possible internally to be strong in our situation. And we're really grateful that our partner understands that our situation is very poor. We are weak because every day, hundreds of missiles sent at us, bombarding our city, actually pressure, but informationally, morally, we have to be strong. At the same time, we have to think about industry, about production of our armament, and in cooperation with our partner. Actually, you remember that before the war, we rely on our own. Okay, we have produced missile and blah, blah, blah. But now we understood that we have to cooperate with our partners. So we still have capability to provide integration to foreign military industry. But we have to invite foreign military industry to our enterprise and work together. It's the only way. And it's specific, actually specific condition when we have to establish joint venture, military venture to produce armament at the foreign plants, fabrics, and so on.
Thank you very much. I think I thought actually you will use an example again when we attracted our partners by developing our own capability to destroy Black Sea fleet of Russian Federation.
Yeah.
And in multiplying such examples, we attract attention and favorable investments of our partners. Would you agree?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
I think Oktay has one last
Yes,
question.
I have another question. I have read some commentaries especially in the United States think tanks. I'm not giving the name of the think tanks, but in some think tanks that a possibility for the peace in that war is that for the Ukraine, especially for the Ukraine, peace for the land. I mean, leave some portion of the occupied area and then ensure the peace. Something like this. I'm not supporting, of course. That is the nonsense. As a track, I'm saying that is nonsense. But anyway, that is the United States think tanks. So it deserves, an answer from you, a question from me, an answer from you. Yeah, in the Ukrainian society, is it a possibility?
Actually, any peace is good chance, but all we have to understand the pause in the war, peace or temporary peace, is only pause for aggressor to maintain and strengthen their forces and continue their action. Do you believe in Putin? Actually, nobody from Ukrainian side believe in Putin. He promised don't to wage a war. he promised not to attack. You remember many things he promised, even Budapest Memorandum. So no trust. Our duty is to force Putin to leave our territory. Only way to force him to leave or stop the war, to engage him at the land and create as much losses at his side as possible in this condition. Unfortunately, it's a war, but no choice for Ukraine to get peace, normal, actually appropriate peace for our country.
That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
For a very good contribution.
My pleasure.
Now, Ivan, let's continue with you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Greetings to the audience. Thank you for organizers for invitation. Now I just need some seconds for my actual presentation. So I want to, now I try to understand mechanism. Yes, probably.
Just click on there and
Yeah. That will be next slide, yes. So I want to a little bit return the period between July 2022 and July 2023. Why? Because really one of the questions that arise immediately after start of the war, the influence to the global economy. First of all, to the agriculture markets and global agriculture sphere. And the reason was simple, that, just a moment, here, that is the share of Ukraine in the global export in the year before the start of war. So in the area of sunflower seed or oil, I mean sunflower oil, actually share of Ukraine was 30%. Ukraine was the main exporter of that product in whole world. Ironically, actually in the next year our share was 22%, so it's lower, but Ukraine still remained the main country in this area. As for other products, we see barley, we see maize and wheat, probably more important than other agriculture goods, like for example, grape seeds. Nevertheless, in all those 6 products, Ukraine had a very big share, and that's why even the fact that the country that played such role can immediately influence on the actually global prices, and of course was a fear, and this fear appeared due to very simple fact that Ukraine actually lost 3 or 4 geographical actually routes. We could not use north because Belarus appeared to be ally of Russia. We could not, of course, use east because Russia situated on the east. And the most problematic that we could not use south because Black Sea was blocked by Russia. Russia, of course, made attempt to conquer Odessa, our big city, at the first days of full-scale war, and that's why after that they blocking our opportunity to export our goods, first of all agriculture goods through Black Sea. So the only destination that we have was just west, so that's why we reorient our export, but it was not so easy. And after that, of course, we start thinking what to do in with this problem, because we see the situation with the global prices. It's actually index of grain prices, and after start of war, starting from March as a full month, we see how it grows. Actually, for its, I demonstrated prices for actually all cereals, but sunflower oil, for example, if on the end of February the price was $1,500 per 1 ton. In May, the price was 230. Just for understanding this growth. But after that, we see that starting from June, prices start to decrease. And the reason of that decrease was the fact that there was a feeling on the global market that there will be deal. Initially, was first interesting proposition of that United Kingdom warship together with Egypt, the special fleet for transporting grain, will appear in Black Sea, but we understand that Dr. Montreux and so on, so this idea disappeared. And then appeared the other idea, Black Sea Grain Initiative. Because on the one hand, it not require military ship of non-Black Sea countries. Actually, in final version, it was two deals between Ukraine, Turkey, and United Nations, and between Russia, Turkey, and United Nations. For Ukraine, it was okay. For Russia, it appears to be okay. A little bit earlier, I explained why Russia go on the step. Nevertheless, we see that starting implementation in July led to the fact that prices go down, and in August it was practically at this even lower than it was February. So, and that's why there was no threat that it will be skyrocketing of the prices, because really it was a fear. But returning to Russia and my own version why Russia decided to go on this deal was that picture. Actually, it's a structure of Chinese import of maize. You see that before full-scale war, even after first months, Ukraine and the United States practically divided Chinese market between themselves. But when Ukraine disappeared, the United States start to control practically whole import of Chinese maize. At the peak, it was 99%. So for China to have such a big dependence on the United States of America, it was even political problem. Yes, it's economy. Nevertheless, when China depends on USA on 99% by maize, it was a problem. And really, I have such a feeling that China start pressing Russia that this deal should be, because after its implementation in July, closer to end of this year, China start to buy more and more goods from Ukraine. First of all, it's maize. Actually, now probably next slide, and that's led to the fact that Ukrainian grain exports start to increase. Actually, after serious fall down in the March 2022, we see that in August, Ukraine received 1 billion per month, and this situation preserved till actually June 2023. Why? Because in July 2023, Russia decided to stop this deal. A little bit returning to China, the reason was the fact that China find alternative to Ukraine and USA, a country that can give them corn. It was Brazil, and that's why probably China is not pressing on Russia. Nevertheless, for Russia, it was so no interest. Actually, Russia don't like Black Sea Grain Initiative from the beginning. Even in October 2022 was very interesting moment when Russia decided to stop realization of that initiative. But that moment, Turkey said, okay, we have to deal. Okay, Russia is not in this deal, but we have the second deal with Ukraine. Of course, let it be. But if Russia is not present in this deal, according to rules, Turkey will do the check of all ships that moving to Ukraine and from Ukraine. And when Russia was present there, it was approximately 8 or 10 ships per day. They're checking, and they moved with the grain to other markets or go to Ukraine for receiving grain. When only Turkey was present, it was 44 ships per day, from 10 to 44. 4 days after, Russia returned to that initiative because they understand that actually initiative works. It was very good joke of Turkey journalist when Russia said that we will stop this initiative and we will do that each ship could not reach Ukraine border. This journalist said that, okay, probably if you have a chance to do that, but we are not sure. Russia understands that they have no chance, that's why they do that. So I'm just return, and actually it was fall down, but closer to the end of 2023, Ukraine started to return its export of grain due to the fact that Russia expected that without this deal, Ukraine could do nothing, and we see first months, July, August, when actually for Ukraine it was problematic, but Then we find alternative corridor with NATO countries, with Romania, Bulgaria, and Turkey. And this alternative way helped to us to increase our export. Furthermore, I show data till the end of 2023. In 2024, our at least physical volume was even higher than in the peak, March 2023. In money, it was lower because prices seriously go down now. Nevertheless, we have this opportunity to sell more, and it really helped Ukrainian even economic resilience, because grain for Ukraine is approximately 2/3 of our export. 65% of Ukrainian export. It's agriculture products, but grain played the main role of them. And actually now we a little bit return to Black Sea Grain Initiative. So we see that actually from 33 million tons of goods, China was the main recipient. They received 8 million tons. Then was Spain, then Turkey, Italy, Netherlands, Egypt, and even Bangladesh. Bangladesh so appeared among the recipients of that initiative. So it means that not only a rich country, actually about the economic potential, we see that according to developed categories of the countries, practically 19 million tons received 18 developing and 14 developed countries. A lot of countries accused Ukraine that we are selling more to develop than to developing, but as for me, the reason that some developed countries purchasing grain for poorer countries in Africa and use that mechanism. So they're buying for themselves and they give to other countries and they help to them to receive the food, especially countries that need them very much. So closer to the end, I want to say that really this story with Black Sea Grain Initiative demonstrated the big importance of Black Sea region for global trade. And now when we are discussing about global trade routes, like Chinese proposition, like proposition that comes from India. Now we could not discuss this proposition because initially goods should go from India to Dubai, United Arab Emirates, then to Saudi Arabia, then to actually Jordan, Israel, and then to Mediterranean region, but we understand that now it's impossible. Nevertheless, the problem of that alternative route that it's not included Black Sea. That's why now we could really think about increasing of presence of our Black Sea region in the global trade in those routes that can help to global food security. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have questions?
Yes, maybe
Yes, yes.
my question. I mean, during the war, Ukraine lost workforce, maybe in the agriculture. At the same
It was
time,
like 5 million people. In Victor's presentation said 5 million.
Yes,
5 million.
5 million
Yes.
or more. There are some displaced person also in the country, and also the story of the agriculture area or something. Grain is still stored so much.
Actually, if you look to the map of Ukraine, the main war activity happened in the eastern part of the country,
Yeah.
while agriculture is central part. And in agriculture, I could not say that we don't work. We don't have
bombing the agriculture capacity.
But for agriculture capacity, it's influenced but not serious. Compare, for example, to metallurgy and to other our industries. That's why we could not say that it's hit seriously. Of course, we have problems. Of course, it was a lot of attacks against our fields. Russia steal our grain, and that's always a problem. But if we are talking about the main regions producing grain, it's Poltava region, it's Vinnytsia region, it's Kirovograd region, probably all Dnipro, of course, Cherkasy region, yes. It's the central part where was no even Russian soldiers, because Russian soldiers was from north.
Unfortunately, we lost a lot of vegetable producers.
Yes. But for grain, we preserve, and Poltava, of course, is the center of sunflower seed. And That's why our main producers who play the big role in the global market, they actually situated in Poltava. And Poltava, really, even in the north of Poltava region, there was no Russian soldiers. That's why they preserve capacity and now try to preserve their role even in the global market, like a Kernel company and some other players in this area.
Thank you very much for your valuable presentation. Now I think, Önder, it is your turn.
Okay.
And the title of this presentation, it's about Albania and Serbia. We move back to Balkans again. Interpretation of the recent past in state identity and foreign policy, a comparison of Albania and Serbia. Very complex area.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the organization and happy to be here. I know you are tired. I will do my best to shorten the presentation. So here is my conclusion in the first page. The first picture on the left is the statue of Tito in a peaceful environment in a garden in Belgrade. The picture on the right is the mass demonstration and taking down the statue of Enver Hoxha in Albania. So we are going to look at this state identity in specific reference to the interpretation of the recent past, with the assumption that the construction of state identity has a lot to explore with the interpretation of the recent past. The next. So, okay. This state identity is a new topic after the rise of constructivist theory since the late 1980s. So, according to Alexander Wendt, the famous author of the constructivism in IR, state identity is all about your self-understanding, with an assumption that your self-understanding has an impact on your formulation of state interest and then foreign policy behaviors. So there are certain alternative variables in order to understand and explain state identity, such as culture, norm, but mostly we refer to national identity. But we don't tag national identity as something static, but something dynamic with the premise that it is always open to change, let's say, reconstruction of state identity due to certain reasons, some internal, some external dynamics. There might be continuity or change of state identity in interaction of domestic politics, here state identity, and foreign policies. So then the role of the new national elites matter in order to understand the self-understanding of a state in foreign policy. There's an interaction between the interpretation of recent past and the reconstruction of state identity, especially for those post-conflict and post-communist transition countries. So the Western Balkans is a good example to examine, because we have both post-conflict and post-communist, I mean, like Albania and Yugoslavia can be categorized still as post-communist countries. So in those transition period, political elites can politicize this recent past as a source of references. And according to literature, the IR of the Western Balkans is highly dominated by the history and identity politics, this Balkanization literature especially. So, I mean, in general, we have three ways of interpretation of the recent past. Might be neutral, might be negative, might be positive. And we have certain examples, for instance, Germany-Israeli relations can be analyzed by this interpretation of recent past. Or if you want to understand this Iranian foreign policy, you should look at their sectarian identity, their Karbala analogy in specific event, or this concept of velayet-i faqih. Or the Commonwealth policy of the UK is a prime example of this recent past and state identity. Current Russian aggression in Ukraine has allowed to talk about their, at least Putin's interpretation of recent past, what happened during Soviet and the dissolution of Soviet. So we took two cases. One is Albania, second is Serbia, because both of them are this transition cases. So yeah, there's still an ongoing identity formation process in the region in a general term. So we compare and contrast Albania and Serbia in terms of their interpretation of recent past, not older past, and their historical narratives of events firstly influence their state identity, whether new or not. Secondly, their general foreign policy orientation and preferences. So we took these UN General Assembly sessions in each September. So like the last 5 speeches by the head of the government, either president or prime minister. Once it was Minister of Foreign Affairs, so adopted this interpretative discourse analysis in our case. So like it is an early research. We are going to work on it for a publication, but I mean there is a clear-cut othering of it is on recent past in Albania. It is like a black and white game. But on the other hand, like Serbia still take their Yugoslav experience as significant and adopted certain legacies in their foreign policy. So there is kind of change in Albania, but limited continuity in Serbian state identity. So there is a total negative interpretation of the memory of the Cold War, what happened during Enver Hoxha's regime over there, or this what happened in the region during the bloody dissolution of Yugoslavia. Serbia is kind of more neutral, sometimes a positive interpretation of Yugoslav legacies, and there's a strong victimhood and narrative in Serbian speech, especially for the dissolution process, what happened in Bosnia or in Kosovo. So there is a structural change in state identity in Albania, from isolation to Western Orientalism, but a kind of continuity in Serbia, like adopting this traditional foreign policy orientation of Tito. Here are some examples. The first one by Serbian leader, referring Yugoslavia's participation in UN peacekeeping missions, or Serbia's active role in non-alignment movement. On the other hand, Albania complained about their most isolated and most authoritarian regime they used to have, and define the region or the history of the region as the dictatorship, oppression, and military cooperation. It's a kind of an opening process for Albania to have this long years of self-isolated country. And of course, they also criticize, especially the Serbian counterparts, about this war crimes and crimes against humanity. When we look at the foreign policy orientation as the second research question, like the normative position of Albanian discourse refers to universalism, multilateralism, and liberal tradition as a reaction to their isolation in foreign policy for long years. But Serbian reference is more third worldism, similar to those Tito's non-alignment, the role of Tito's in non-alignment movement, equality and respect, sovereignty, territorial integrity, and non-intervention in domestic affairs they consider as normative position in foreign policy. When we look at their foreign policy behaviors, let's say the ultimate objectives of their foreign policy, Euro-Atlantic integration is a must for Albania. Of course, secondly, Kosovo, the international recognition of Kosovo. But for Serbia, it is more military neutrality. This is why they haven't applied for NATO membership. And of course, partnership diversification, like having two good relations with Russia, China, the USA and the European Union at the same time. Not a competition, but a kind of compliance. And of course, third worldism, this active role in non-alignment movement or the global south. And there's kind of a skepticism and balanced approach when it comes to this big power politics in the region, especially against the Western ones because of this NATO's operation or the bombardment of Serbia. Kosovo is a hot topic as usual in their discourse.
5 minutes on that.
Okay, so some direct quotations. So like equality, non-intervention about the Serbia, reference to Kosovo and Matohia by Serbian leader, and the violation of international order and UN Charter by great powers, the skepticism. And for Albania, they refer more a kind of opening approach for their foreign policy, and of course, Euro-Atlantic integration as ultimate objective of their foreign policy. So, as a concluding remarks, like interpretation of recent past has allowed to analyze the construction or the reconstruction of state identity with the assumption that state identity determine foreign policy orientation. So although they have a similar path, at least post-communist and post-conflict transition, Albania, Serbia, there are totally alternative consequences because of their different way of interpretation of the recent past by the national elites. So there's ultimately a new Albanian state identity by othering it as a recent past with a negative interpretation. So which causes a structural change in their state identity from isolation to Western Orientalism. But Serbia is happy with its Yugoslav past. There's kind of a positive interpretation, so which means a continuity of state identity and tradition in their foreign policy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I have one small question. We know that the first Kosovo War, the Battle of Kosovo, 1389,
Yeah.
very important for the Serbian history. Their
Exactly.
nation-building process starts with that war. How do Albanians perceive it? Because to tell the truth, Albanians and Serbs fought together against the Ottomans in that war. How do they evaluate that war, that specific war?
I think Serbian is more religious than nationalist because the Orthodox Church in Serbia also attach significant. I mean they define as the Jerusalem of Serbia.
Yeah,
While defining
in Kosovo.
in Kosovo. So this is significant. The Albanian narratives on the Ottomans and Turks are complex and multi-faced. I mean. Some have kind of a more positive, at least, or neutral position.
The Muslims ones, especially.
Yeah, but some because Albanian nationalism was anti-Turkic as well. So we cannot generalize for Albanian side, but it is possible to say. I mean, it is a clear cut, not only ethnic, but also or historical, but also religious motivation.
Because they do not mention about that battle, but they usually mention about the Prizren Congress.
Yeah, exactly.
The Albanians.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for your contribution. Then we
I
can.
was
Yes, thank you very much for
Thank you.
the presentation as a PhD candidate and research assistant. I congratulate
No, he's a graduate. He's not a PhD candidate, as far as I know.
Yeah,
PhD,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
sorry.
I
He
have
has
your
applied
time
for
to-
associate.
As I thought the research assistant, automatically I perceive that as PhD. Congratulations for your briefing. It's a good. I like actually constructivist approaches for the identity and foreign policy or something. So your methodology is good, but I am not sure about the comparison and the units that you selected, Albania and Serbia, because they have different history, and they have, because of the population, one is small, the other one is bigger than Denmark, maybe 3 times, and because of the size of the country, Serbia, like 3 times or 2 times, 2.5 times bigger than Denmark. Because of their relation with the Ottoman Empire also, it is also different. So all these factors, I think, are important for their state identity, in addition to the recent past. But I am not sure that the recent past is just only the one explaining factor for the state identity. I am not sure.
You are right with your criticism, but constructivism doesn't consider each case as unique, homogeneous for their level of analysis, because the inside of the boxes matters as you detail. You are right, but I mean. You can pick different cases on comparative politics. So, like, you can still compare cases. When it comes to this recent past issue, I mean, it is data-given conclusion, because they haven't made any reference to Middle Ages, what happened during the Ottoman period. Their content was more this post-Cold War dynamics in the region. So this was a kind of limitation for us not to deepen this state formation process and the elements they refer. And
I mean, as a methodology to simplify the issue and make it researchable, testable. Yes, I agree with you and your methodology.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that it will give the right result.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's a very interesting topic, as Balkans is one of my specialization areas, and I would like to lead the final paper as well. Thank you very much. Now we can continue with Guli. Is Guli online? Can you hear us? I think she's online, but okay. I'm requesting from the remaining participants to stick to this 15 minutes time period, please. Okay. So you can hear us? Okay, the floor is yours.
For me?
Yes, we are hearing you. Please start with your presentation.
Thank you very much. Just let me open my slides. Okay. Just a minute. I cannot find here. I'm sorry, I don't know how to use it.
Yeah.
Just a moment. May I ask for help? Sorry.
Go to the top. The top.
To share, I clicked on the share and then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then click on the screen. Click share your screen.
It shows only this. I'm sorry.
When we have a question or a difficulty like this, we take assistance from our daughter or son. Yeah, that's the better way.
I'm sorry. My son will help me. Meanwhile, I wanted to thank everybody for inviting me to this conference and for the opportunity to share my views. My topic is connected with the geopolitical challenges and challenges and threats to Central Asia. I'll try to talk about opportunities and perspectives. Please. So I clicked on the. Just a moment. We'll try to open it.
Yes.
Okay.
We are seeing your screen.
Do you see my screen?
We have seen it, but now we are not seeing it. A couple of seconds ago, we have seen it, but now
I'm very sorry. I never used this program, and that's why.
A couple of minutes ago, we have seen your.
Do you see my slides?
no, we are not seeing
No,
your
not
slide.
now.
Then you can start your oral presentation.
Okay, I can. Please. Okay, let me talk about it. Okay.
Let me try again.
We're trying to open it.
Hocam slides yoksa.
Son diyorum sana.
Without slides, we can
Can
start.
present
We can
without
understand.
slides.
You know, no problem.
Without slides.
Your English is very clear. We can understand. You know what we are saying. So no reason.
Okay, let's. First of all, I want to speak about to acquaint you with the outline. It consists of some theoretical approaches to the problem, then general characteristics of contemporary Central Asia. And then I will describe briefly about geopolitical situation and provide some opportunities and make some conclusions. Main thesis is that Central Asian integration is the logical outcome of the globalized world and the growth of objective demands in managing the indivisible security context, building single regional economy based on common transport outlets and energy networks, on coordinated foreign policy steps. Methods I used are systemic and strategic analysis, comparative and problem approaches, which in my mind can facilitate this investigation. I'll very briefly stop on the theoretical approaches. So as to reasons of conflicts, scholars traditionally stress two main reasons for any conflict: economic, around resources and territories, and ideological interests of states. Most important are income and geographical distance in determining bilateral trade flows. And democracy here can only foster international trade based on the unilateral economic procedures, norms, and democratic rules. But ideology reveals itself in the fact that geopolitical cleavage is portrayed primarily in terms of democracy versus totalitarian rule and freedom versus oppression, which we see in the division between the West and the developing world mostly. And between the West and most post-Soviet countries, which are considered to be undemocratic. Another views cover such kind of opinions as the long-term structural transformations which are ongoing today, and they reveal themselves, as it was already said during our discussion, in the rise of artificial intelligence, climate change, a shift in the geopolitical distribution of power, and demographic transitions. And besides, we can add here increased role of human rights for preserving national sovereignty and usage of non-military means for achieving stability. What is interesting to stress here also, the views about construction of new world disorder. States, according to this paradigm, remain the most critical actors in world affairs, but cultural and civilizational factors increasingly shape their interests, priorities, and decisions, which we can observe around the events in the Middle East, Palestine and Gaza. Multipolarity and de-risking will pose both challenges and opportunities for companies around the world. It is clear that they define national strategies, the tempo of these strategies, weapons and instruments of achieving these goals, and Of course, they can both be a challenge and an opportunity. It depends on which where we look and how we interpret this, how we can coordinate these issues. And what is interesting also that the idea of a Eurasian space, the so-called heartland, nowadays is regarded through the prism of the Chinese domination. It is now located in the center of this heartland as the main pivot area to the detriment of Russia. What is possible solution to the majority of theoreticians is that the solution can be in building regional blocks based on economic interest, coexisting regional communities, or even interregionalism, which may be the best world order we can hope for for medium term. And what is the place of Central Asian region with regard to these views? Importance of the Central Asian region has not been changed, and it is defined, continued to be defined by its strategic location at the juncture of all active potential and planned transport and pipeline routes, its natural and human resources, and territorial, geographic, historical, cultural, and demographic closeness to the unstable Muslim world. Besides, Central Asia, of course, is the region where majority of global challenges are concentrated, the point which has been already mentioned during our discussions here. And another very sad conclusion which can be added here, that unfortunately the region is concentration of many threats to the world, territorial, international, religious, ecological, and others. In the past, it was Zbigniew Brzezinski who called the region the Eurasian Balkans. But nowadays, the approach to the region has been changing, and time has proved sufficiently enough that the region can itself be developed quite peacefully and solve its own issues. And the Central Asian countries have reached nowadays a fundamentally new level based on consultative meetings of the heads of states and effective dialogue established at all levels and in almost all areas. And it now stresses its subjectivity, which has been increased significantly, according to Kazakh President Tokayev. But at the same time, we cannot exclude, of course, many problems preserved in the region. Among them, we can name uneven development, unemployment, and inflation. Despite the fact that the region has been demonstrating the rapid growth and achieved during the 20 years gross domestic output of about $347 billion by an average 6.2% per year. At the same time, it has some unemployment is preserved, which is ranges from 7 to 8% in Uzbekistan, for example, and next year in Tajikistan, in Kyrgyzstan, it can be even equal to 9%. Beside the high tempo of development of Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. And as to inflation, it is about 7.6%, so, around the region. What to do to overcome these problems of development? Of course, to overcome social economic problems arising from this context and the globalized environment, and reduce somehow geopolitical tension, and thus achieve sustainable growth and prosperity in future. The Central Asian countries need to overcome, first of all, the geographical isolation. That means building multiple transport corridors from the region. Where we can see here at the map. Do you see my slides?
We don't see it, unfortunately.
Okay, I can name Trans-Caspian region, north-south, north corridor going through Russia. and Lazurit corridor from Afghanistan, and railroads towards China, and other corridors which have vital significance for the stability of the region. Without building and putting these corridors into exploitation, we cannot solve many of our development problems. And that's why these problems are priority for us. In the global context, therefore, the security of the Central Asian countries are comprehended as comprehensive and essentially indivisible. So we cannot be isolated in one region. We should accept our global existence and interdependence. And this all demands open, balanced, pragmatic, and multi-vector policies, searching for mutually acceptable compromises on all, even the most pressing issues. As to geopolitical situation, it can be characterized by the following. The division lies between two competing blocs, between the Russian-Chinese-led Eurasian bloc of states within the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and the Euro-Atlantic community headed by the United States. Consequently, the Central Asian region is influencing direct and indirect pressure from both sides, although we themselves enter the Shanghai Cooperation Organization trying to balance all these interests. Main trade partners of the Central Asian countries are Russia and China. China, for example,
sorry to interrupt. We have 3 minutes left, so if it is possible, please wrap up your presentation.
I think that opportunities arise from the challenges and risks we have, and potential partnership can be reduced to countering global counterterrorism efforts, on reducing other global threats like drug trafficking, migration, ecological issues, and building and exploitation of new routes through Central Asia, which I have covered already, including Chabahar port and other ports via Pakistan, and Badar and Karachi. So we see that global conditions of economic and security interdependence demand interconnectedness of global and regional activities, constructive and pragmatic cooperation and coordination of efforts in majority of international areas. Such context presents both challenges and opportunities for the Central Asian states in the context of the aggravated geopolitical situation. And the immediate outcome of the ongoing processes is the accelerated process of the Central Asian integration to manage the indivisible security context and build single regional economy based on common transport and energy outlets, coordinated foreign policy steps. The Central Asian countries are active participants of the process of building a new global order and are gradually turning into a real subject of the newly arising IR system. This is facilitated by the commonality of arising challenges and threats, commonality of the Central Asian multi-vector policies, and diversified trade routes to balance geopolitical situation around the region. As to the Middle Eastern problems, Palestinian, Israeli, and the Russian-Ukrainian conflicts, or the Iranian-Western discrepancies, without solving these problems, of course, one cannot forecast stable development of the Central Asian region. Here we see our interconnectedness and the linkage to all global and regional affairs. And besides, our future is dependent, of course, on our process of regionalism, its potential to increase our subjectivity. Overall, the tendencies which have been described reveal the main theoretical findings of the scholars. For instance, first of all, on the issue of building new regionalism, new regional bloc, and which is being built nowadays in the Central Asian region. That's all. Thank you for your attention.
Very much for your
Did you answer your questions?
But let's do it like this. We have two presenters remaining. I request from you to let them to present their papers, and then we will have a Q&A session if we have time. Okay? So we have Fateme and Yaşar Hoca. They present, and then we will have a Q&A session for all three presentations. Okay? Let's do it like this. We don't have much time. Okay, Fateme, are you available? Let's continue with your presentation. If you are not, then yes. Okay, yes. She will talk about the competition between Russia and US in Black Sea. So the floor is yours.
My voice is okay.
Your voice is kind of low.
Can you hear me? My voice is okay.
That's better, yes. Continue, please.
Öncelikle değerli hocalarıma ve arkadaşlarıma merhaba ve saygılarımı sunmak isterim. Bana verdiğiniz fırsat için teşekkür ederim. Benim için çok değerli. Sonra, hello everyone, the organizers of the Congress and dear friends of the participants. Actually, this is the second time I'm attending the Arab University Congress. The first time was in 2022, if I remember correctly. So I'm honored to participate in this event and have the opportunity to present my new findings on the challenges facing Eurasia and the main actor in this region. Honestly, I prepared a PowerPoint file, but unfortunately, I'm afraid that everything will disconnect again. So can I email it to you later?
Well, I don't hear her voice right now. We don't hear your voice, unfortunately.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now it's
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
Continue, please.
Could you repeat your question?
We didn't understand your last question, unfortunately.
I have a PowerPoint file, but I'm afraid my connection is bad again because my internet is so weak. I email it for you later.
Okay, then let's talk about the basic points of your presentation here orally. Without the PowerPoint, is it possible?
Yes.
Okay.
The title of my paper is The Great Geostrategic Game in the Black Sea, Eurasia's Challenges in the Confrontation between Moscow and the Approaches and Solutions. Scholars have established a relationship between structure and power relations in the conflict of land and sea powers, and believe that control and domination of the Black Sea and the Baltics by many powers, especially land powers, they can lead to world domination. Therefore, we are witnessing more confrontations in this region than ever before between Russia, the West, and even countries such as Iran and Turkey. The Black Sea is one of the most important geoeconomic regions in terms of energy and grain exchanges, and could even play a central role in global trade in the coming years, which will more than double in the next 2 decades, according to estimates. Therefore, major regional and trans-regional countries are seeking to increase their influence and persistence in this region. But it should be noted that the main platform for developing trade in the Black Sea is the establishment of complete security nets. Although Russia has replaced European countries, NATO and the United States as its geopolitical rivals, in my term, the geostrategic importance of the Black Sea has not changed. since 1853. Crimea as a military source, Turkey as a ministry, and the Turkish Strait as operational throughput they count. The ultimate goal of military access and presence in the Eastern Mediterranean is to act as a balancing factor in the face of expansion and development of the United States and NATO to the east and their presence in the Aegean and the Central Mediterranean. It seems that geopolitical approach and attention to the security and economic importance for maritime areas in Russia's foreign policy seems to be a fundamental point of view and should not be neglected in any way. Since 1696, petropolitics has gained a special place in Russian foreign policy and has become driving force in regional and international relations. In this article, I examine the question of what challenges does the Eurasian region face in the face of Russia and the West, what solution make solve the conflict possible, and what approaches will further convergence between countries. Mackinder's idea reflects the geographical themes of Russian history. Itself represents the truth of the concept of continental Eurasia. Hence, the Mackinder geopolitical theory is used to analyze the initial data. Estimates show that the NATO allies are not at all interested in the Black Sea becoming a Russian lake with its Chinese ally. Therefore, the situation of the Black Sea requires a new geostrategic approach toward the internal and the external countries of this region. In other words, instead of just thinking about NATO membership, they should also pursue smaller initiatives to secure their political and economic interests. Indeed, some experts believe that rather than joining NATO, which Moscow is particularly sensitive to, should increase their national flexibility, develop closer bilateral and multilateral relations, and reconstruct the region in a coercive manner. Actually, the completed content will be sent to you in the next upcoming article. And finally, thank you for taking the time to listen to my content.
Okay, thank you for your presentation, ma'am. Then let's move on to Yaşar Soray, our last presenter, and he will talk about the impact of the war in Ukraine on the security of the Black Sea through the prism of three international relations theories. And after that, we can get back to the question session. Okay.
Okay, good afternoon. First, I will try to use the PowerPoint. I hope I will also open. If not, then without the PowerPoint, I will continue. Let me try, but let's see if it's possible. Okay, look like I cannot share something. I don't know.
Hocam bana mail atabilirseniz ben buradan paylaşabilirim.
Ya nasıl sizi bana mailinizi söyleyin hemen atayım.
Selma Sekercioğlu @arel.edu.tr
Hemen şey yapıyorum. Açayım.
Ekran açmış, hemen ekleyebilirim.
Tamam. Ben hemen gönderiyorum. Tekrar söyler misiniz? Hemen Selma.
Tekercioğlu.
Tamam.
@arel.tr.
Tekercioğlu. Evet.
@arel.edu.tr.
Tamam. O zaman arel.edu.tr. Evet. Gönderdim.
Evet, yani
Okay. Until you start to open, I will let me talk the general conceptual part. Before I start my presentation, I would like to thank to Aral University organizing this conference. Normally, my presentation was the first day, but unfortunately, there is a conflictual clash of my program. For that reason, first day I couldn't do. And this is the last panel and the last presentation. I will be follow the rule and make my presentation short. So first, what is the goal of the title of my presentation is the impact of the war in Ukraine on the security of the Black Sea using the comparative analysis of the international relation theories. That's my goal. So my main goal and my main thesis of the paper is like this. So Black Sea region is characterized by a complex security interaction involving different regional actors as NATO and European Union. And this interaction is not happening only the security area, but the economic and environmental too. So my main goal to looking at the mainstream international relation theories, and can they explain the current condition, especially after the Russian war in Ukraine and Russian attack to Ukraine. So I will not talk each theories, but I will talk generally these mainstream theories, realism, liberalism, and constructivism, and where they have the problem and how we can solve this problem. So my main thesis is...
Sorry to interrupt. Could you please check Selma's email from the chat session because we think that you may have sent it to a wrong email address. She wrote down in the chat session.
Let me check. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's I made mistake. Selma Tekercioğlu.
No, Sekercioğlu.
Şekerci. Sorry. That's my mistake. Let me send again. Sorry. Okay, I send it again. Let me continue my presentation. I send again. Hopefully this time. So let me continue. Let's not take much time, and from the presentation, if you can open the PowerPoint, that's the audience can follow from there too. So
Hocam geldi ama eki yok.
Eki yok mu? Altta eki gözükmüyor mu?
Yok hocam.
Kusura bakmayın. Ben altta eki var diye yani şeyi forward ettim size mesajı. Pardon. Forward edince
İlet yapmak lazım.
tekrar gönderdim. Bu sefer eki gözüküyor bende. Sizde gözüküyor mu?
Henüz gelmedi hocam.
Okay, let's continue then.
Okay, then let's not waste our time. So basically, what is first? Let me talk about my research puzzle and what is my thesis statement. My research puzzle to investigating how the war in Ukraine influences security landscape in the Black Sea region and how we can, which one of the international relation theory can have a better or best explanation of the current condition. Then at the end, my thesis statement is the ongoing conflict in Ukraine has significant impact for Black Sea security that's affecting regional stability, economic interest, and geopolitical dynamics that cannot explain only in single IR theories, especially we call the research programs of the IR, the realism, liberalism, and constructivism. Instead of those mainstream theories, we need to use more regional security approaches, as well as we need to reconceptualize some of the terms which we are using to explain the security condition in Black Sea region. How we can do that? One, we can applying the integrated framework of the regional complex theory and the securitization theory to explain the regional issues, security issues of the Black Sea. So that's I have several research questions, but let me repeat some of them. How does the war in Ukraine impact the security perception of the Black Sea, the countries, and how does security complex theory and the securitization theory explain the interdependencies and security dynamics among the Black Sea state, and in what ways does the securitization theory to help us to understand the concept which we are using to explain the current condition of the Black Sea. So I will not talk much when this is the very early stage of the research. First, to do this research, I'm using several different methods. One is the case studies. The war in Ukraine, actually the war, the conflict started before the turn as a war. So I'm taking the cases. These cases, annexation of the Crimea, the war in eastern Ukraine, means today Donetsk, Luhansk, and Zaporizhzhia region, and also they created a maritime conflict in Black Sea. To understand that one, also need to look to official documents, defense white papers, security strategies, and Russia frequently publishing its own security doctrine, foreign policy paper, and so on. And using the media analysis, comparing the different security strategies of the Black Sea countries, especially Russia, Turkey, Ukraine, and others, Romania and Bulgaria. Maybe we can add them to NATO strategies related to the region. Then also doing the expert interview and using their opinion too. So as I already mentioned, I will not talk about the realism, liberalism, constructivism, but I will emphasize a few points. Realism, as we know, power politics, national interest, security competition. These three main concepts of the realism help us to understand a certain level of the conflict in the Black Sea and basically how states seek to maximize their security interest in the region. But the realism also has weaknesses, cannot explain the why did this conflict emerge, especially war in Ukraine emerge. The other is the liberalism. Liberalism is not much talking about the security issues. Mainly, they are when they talk the security issues, they mainly talking collective security, institution, cooperation, interdependency, giving the priority to international institutions like NATO Security Organization, and they according to the liberals, the regional security institutions can mitigate the security challenges, which is not happening in Black Sea region. Constructivism, mentioning the the idea triangle, we can say identity norms one side, identity norms and the ideas one side, the interest is the second side, and the third side is the security, and trying to explain the security issue through the identity formation and so on. That's that's way to they are trying to using the regional identities, perception of the threat, and cooperation among the Black Sea state when there is a security problem in there. So their weaknesses is to yes, they explain the certain countries' position related the security issues, Black Sea region, but they cannot to generalize as we want to theories to generalize. To do explain the today Black Sea security problems, the best two theory, which I will combine them later, is the securitization theory. Why? Because securitization theory giving us the framing threat and analysis. So the threat is not only the military threat, the threat is the other type of the threat which we can see. So in that sense, securitization theory is helping us to understand this security threat through discourses and political process of those countries involved, especially for the Black Sea, which we can see the three main actors, Russia, Ukraine, and Turkey. Of course, we shouldn't forget the Georgia, Romania, and Bulgaria, not as an individual, especially Bulgaria and Romania, because they are member of the NATO and taking the action. So discourse and political process help us to define the security threat. That's the support or the security theories assistance to our explanation. The other one is we cannot see the Black Sea region as the countries as an individual. Black Sea as we defining one basin, one territories which have their interdependency and their security and other interests also is interconnected. So there's a kind of complex condition in there too. The approach is basically developed by Beruzan and other Kopenhagen school. This theory considers security as a complex web of interconnected state and other actors. And in that sense, the war in Ukraine is changed the Black Sea's security complex. For that reason, is important. So the security complex theory has three main points. One is the interconnected security dynamics. So Black Sea as a region has, even though a conflict between right now, we are saying the war between Ukraine and Russia, and of course the other countries supporting Ukraine, but that conflict or war have impact on the Central Asia, Black Sea, sorry, altogether. So that is the creating an interconnected security dynamic. And this security, when we are talking about the Black Sea region, we are not only talking about the country's literal state of the Black Sea, but also talking about those global and regional actors which involving this process, especially Russian annexation of Crimea, war in Ukraine, and Turkey's strategic positioning under Turkey's role in the Black Sea. We can external actors. We can see United States, NATO, European Union also play critical role in the region, especially war in Ukraine. As we know, the Ukrainian government was very close to one time to accepting the ceasefire agreement, which Turkey negotiated, play as a mediator role. But at the end, the other actors they stopped the Ukrainian accepting that things. So securitization theories help is the framing the threat, the helping us to explain the political process in that sense, and that is the has the impact on the sea, Black Sea as a holistic way, which I can say. Okay, how are we integrating these two theories to explain the today Black Sea security issues? By integrating security complex theory and the securitization theory, help us to create a comprehensive framework. Within that framework, we can explain the current condition, frame as a security threat, what kind of security threat we have right now in Black Sea, the war, and the war already happening between the Russia and Ukraine, that this war can be expanded. Second is this combined approach help us to offering the deeper insight into region complex security environment, which is the including the other actors, outside actors too. So, and also this two approach, combination of these two approach may help us to have the more effective policy response too. So I already talked the annexation of the Crimea and war in Ukraine. The two other issues less important right now, but because of the this war in Ukraine, let's start a conflict related Ukraine, starting from the annexation of the Crimea in 2014 to until this time, which is war is continuing, had impact on the energy security of the Black Sea countries, as well as the creating the sometimes some kind of maritime dispute between already Russia occupied the Crimea and some part of the Ukraine, and claiming those territories are its territories, which is against the agreement which is signed before on the territorial sea, continental shelf, exclusive economic zone boundaries, and so on too. And we saw this conflict spread to maritime issues too. Because of the war, continue transporting the grain to outside, because of the Ukraine and Russia is the main exporter of the grain in the world, to outside the world market become difficult. Not that one, the Russians using the Abkhazian naval base, which Abkhazia official international, according to international law, part of the Georgia, and using the Abkhazian naval base, that's bringing the more complex security problem related region. So that's let me conclude my presentation. After presentation, if anyone asks question, we can go more deeply. So this paper basically emphasized the importance of the testing the certain international relation approaches or the schools on security issues using the Black Sea region by evaluating the applicability of the realism, liberalism, constructivism. Sometimes we call them as a research program of the IR, because of they are the drawing the general framework under these approaches. There are different theories too: offensive realism, defensive realism, democratic peace theory, and so on. I mean, you can name it. And constructivism can be divided into different constructivist approach too. So these studies, this research program cannot fully can explain the current condition in security condition and security dynamics in Black Sea. So that then we need to go more deeply. Some kind of this regional security complex and securitization theories are the kind of combination of the certain realism concepts and characteristic with the constructivism to explain the certain territory. So we can see that this complexity of security complexity of the Black Sea make us the combining theoretical approach of the regional security complex and security theory. They allow to more detailed, nuanced analysis and contribute to our understanding and explaining current conflict which is happening in Black Sea. Thank you so much for listening. Let me stop here. If any question, I'm ready to answer your question.
Okay, thank you for your detailed presentation. So if you have questions for Yaşar Hoca, for Guli, and for Fateme, please ask it.
Yes, I have. If we have time,
I think we have time now.
I have a minor question to each, starting from the Yaşar Hoca. Thank you very much, Yaşar Hoca. That's a very quick briefing, especially on the Copenhagen school approach, a regional approach. That's good. But I'm not sure that the Black Sea has evolved as a regional security complex or sub-regional security complex. So that theory and that mechanism, that tool is a good tool to analyze the security issue, but is it not applicable, in my understanding, to the Black Sea in the current form? Yeah, there are interaction of the state, but there are outside actors also. So I cannot see that if it is a standard RSC or the great power RSC or the centralized one or just the pre-RSC. I think it's the pre-RSC. After the Russian-Ukraine war, maybe it will be an RSC.
Okay.
That's my point.
Mm-hmm. Let me answer that question. I mean, when I am talking about the regional security complex, I'm not talking about the structure of that one. My explanation, regional security complex, means that the countries around the Black Sea basin is feeling the same problem, threat. So common threat, creating a common common feeling, common anxious on the condition in a security condition in Black Sea. For that reason, when I say that regional security complex, based on the threat, because of the threat, there is a common threat. Each country is accepted the threat. What is the main threat? Is the Russian aggression, of course, except Russia. Almost all other countries, including Georgia, even though Georgian government very closely, recently very close to Russia, but when the Russians started using the naval base in Abkhazia, then they say that Russia is challenging the current Black Sea security condition and dynamics. And that means that the war in Ukraine, taking the example again, become a common threat for all the countries, the littoral countries in Black Sea, and that in that sense is the threat concept become the main source of the today is the security complex condition in the region.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it's very clear. Thank you very much for this. I have a question for Fatima, but I think she left.
Yes, I think so.
Anyway,
It
if
has
she,
contributed
if she
to it.
joins later, I will ask the question. Okay, I have a question for the Guli. Guli, nice to see you in our conference again. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation of attending this conference and the scientific advisory committee. I am very happy about that one, and they are very happy about your approaches, constructive approaches always. My question about your briefing is that do you see any role for the organization of the Turkish state to overcome the challenges in the Central Asia and open the way for the further cooperation?
Your microphone is closed.
Okay, yeah, I switched it on. I'm sorry, I didn't catch the idea. Are you talking about the law?
I'm talking about the organization of the Turkish state.
About organization of Turkish state, I think that
any role, for this organization to overcome the challenges in the Central Asia.
No, I don't think that the organization is challenging. It's moreover, it's very attractive to us. But unfortunately, Turkey is in present state cannot compete with China. 14 billion of investments into region and 14 billion of trade turnover only with Uzbekistan. And region is in need of high technology investments and so on. But Turkey's place is more related to the identity issue. Our history, culture, religion is very close to Turkey, and that's why our membership in this organization, I think, will gradually consolidate later on our ties with Turkey, of the whole region, especially in the context of the ongoing Palestine-Israeli conflict, which, in my mind, takes some elements of civilizational clash. Lots of Muslims in our region hate this war, of course, and they, in this background, Turkey is much more sympathetic and attractive model for us. But we are pragmatic. Politics is a very rational, pragmatic thing. That's why, in order to survive, we should have some diversified, multi-vector policy. And at this moment, of course, China and Russia are competing mostly, and Turkish organization a little bit has a weaker position, but perspective in my mind. We'll have gradual perspective, which will be dependent on our coordinated efforts and our consultative meetings and meetings of summits of high leaders cooperation on all spheres. And we should also take into account the Trans-Caspian region pipeline, Trans-Caspian route, and other transport corridors, which will also link us more to Turkey.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, we are done, I think. From Ali. Okay, I will just provide some information regarding the abstract book and the full papers. We will be sending the abstract book starting from Monday to all our participants and moderators, and the deadline for the full papers will be 30th of June, and we will send an additional mail regarding the full papers. And we are considering the publication of the conference proceedings in an ebook format in September. That's enough from me, I think, today. And the floor is Ali.
Actually, I have not much to add what is said, but surprising with the last paper which Yaşar Hoca has mentioned underlined the basic question of the whole Congress. Here the problem is, first, I do agree that the situation in the Black Sea and the Balkans can well explain by the theory of regional security complex. But the problem at the same time that this area has not established a regional security complex. For a regional security complex, the originator of this theory takes Turkey as an insulator. It's an approach from the West how to read the situation here. But Turkey is not an insulator, but catalyzer. This concept should be rewritten. And for a regional security complex, as Yaşar Hoca has noted, there should be a common threat, but this threat should come from outside the area. Right now, this threat, as long as it comes within the area, we cannot mention about a regional security complex. And there should also, there should have been established, we should have been established common values and common interests. Thanks God, we have some common interests, but it's quite debatable whether we all, Balkans and the sea has common values. We have a lot way to go, and we need a lot institutions and person to person, cross-border interactions and interdependence are needed. So this underlines the subject here, I believe. That's the theoretical portion of it. And finally, this two-day event was quite fruitful with the insights and the papers. And I really owe a great thank to the director of USAM, Oktay Bingöl Hoca. Many thanks, and if you have any remarks, please.
Thank you very much.
Can I say something?
Of course, of course.
I totally agree with you. What I am trying to do, not just in this subject, for other subjects, to some of our IR colleagues in Turkey trying to do that one. We are trying to decolonize some of the concept and redefine them for our understanding. For example, not only this Black Sea region, we are for the Eurasia, we are redefining the Eurasia from the Turkish perspective, not the American or Russian one. That's one thing. So we are trying to do that one. You are right. In that sense, the first, let's say, the person who, the academician scholar who developed this concept, we are using the different way and putting the Turkey in different position. The second thing is the related, you talk about the organization of Turkic state. Let me use this opportunity to advertise the 1 hour activity. With our center in İbn Haldun University, we have this Haydar Aliyev Center for Eurasian Studies. With the organization of Turkic state organization, we are doing a summer school on international summer school on the Turkic world. So we will invite the colleagues, scholars from the member state, not for students, mainly graduate students, academicians, and others. We will have discuss those issues related to Turkic world. I would like to see you there, attend and join us. And the last point is that even though Professor Yuldaşeva mentioned about Turkey's role is less than the China and the Russia, but the last 3-4 years trade statistic or investment statistic, if you check that one, is changing. So Turkey, for some countries, Turkey become the very important actor, as well as in Central Asia, there is an organization, the survey organization called the Central Asia barometers. They did a research on how the people perceive on the Turkey. Turkey is the either first or the second country which people prefer to have the cooperation and relation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for all these comments. And thank you very much for all the participants, all friends coming from Ukraine. We are supporting Ukraine again for our holy war against aggression, I am saying. And thank you very much for the Congress co-chairperson, and also our research assistants, and Selma Hoca, and all participants. Thank you very much. So this was a great discussion. So I hope we will meet another event in person or the online. Thank you very much again.